Namaste and Namo Narayan. This morning I'm going to just go through and explain the paper that I uploaded to academia.edu the other day, which was number 2. So it's the second paper. So the first paper was uploaded a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. This one's the second one, and this one's got some new formulas that came to me, and also I'm going to go through some more information, obviously, explaining this paper, and also some more explanatory information, including some diagrams, and also a sneak peek into my first completed book or manuscript. It's not published yet, and it's called Truth is Within Kundalini, Kriya Yoga and the Kundalini Research Project. Of particular relevance to this paper on advanced astrophysics, the foreword and introduction was written by a physicist, good friend of mine, Dr. Subrata Kaviraj, and he wrote the brilliant foreword and also a brilliant report on the Kundalini Mandala, which is in the second last page in that document that I uploaded the other day. So Subrata did a report. So I'm going to fly through this book as well, which is a bigger book than the last book. So this talk will probably take a bit longer, maybe an hour and a half or even a bit longer. And there's some really groundbreaking information in that report. So I'll get started on this document first of all. So I've put up here at the top of the document, you'll notice advanced astrophysics, and then I've got advanced yogic science. So I should have probably put that in the first document as well. It's very advanced yogic science, right? Advanced astrophysics. So now I've got down here 2 of 2. So there could be others later on, but this is number 2. Theory and formulas, David G. Little, Swami Manamurti Saraswati, that's me. David G. Little, care of Satyam Yoga Centre, that's my registered business. PO Box 431, Tuncurry, New South Wales 2428, Australia. That's where I live. Foster Tuncurry in the mid-north coast, New South Wales. Correspondence, Swami Manamurti Saraswati. And the email address is monamurti, MOUNAMURTI @gmail.com. So there's the official logo of that I registered, that I explained in the last paper. David Little, registered IP Australia, Swami Manamurti Saraswati, Satyam Yoga. So here we go here on page 2. Theory and Formulas, part 2 of 2. Part 1 was published on the 26th of the 8th last month, so 1 month ago. 26th of the 8th, 24. Part 2 a few days ago, last Friday, 20th of the 9th, 24, this paper on academia.edu. So here's the formula that I'm presenting. S. I'll go through the full, in the recital below, the next page, I'll go through everything, explain everything. So here's the formula, S, and in closed brackets, A, B, C, so, and also A, C, H, being chakras, A being the physical body, B being the astral body, C being the causal body, CH meaning the chakras are in all bodies, all the 3 bodies. Not often talked about, but here I am presenting it. They're in the 3 bodies. So that's in closed brackets, and it's divided So not like the formula in the first paper on advanced astrophysics, where we're collapsing, and it's the other way, backslash. This is forward slash divided by K Kundalini equals SM soul and moksha. So now we're going down to the recital. There's the formula that I just repeated. Recital. S equals soul. A equals the physical body. B equals the astral body. C equals the causal body. The closed brackets are the koshas, or the sheaths, or the veils existing between the three bodies. Now, many of you might say that there's more than three bodies, but anyway, the koshas, I'll get onto that later, the koshas are the sheaths that separate the next layer of the bodies. So in yoga, we talk about the Panchakosha theory, the 5 sheaths, or the koshas, meaning Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha. That's where we want to go. All right, so that's the 5 koshas. And then we've got CH equals the chakras existing in all 3 bodies, and the energy is unlimited in B and C. So I've got B and C, astral and causal. So the chakras in those bodies is unlimited, but we can't draw in the unlimited energy into the physical body, because it really, we're not meant to harness that much energy. So it's a lot of energy. You can imagine the cosmos is unlimited. So we're talking about astral and causal bodies, BC. They can handle the unlimited energy. So, and I've got the division equals separation of the 3 bodies. Now this is very important. Separation, or divided by the 3 bodies. K equals Kundalini, which is the evolutionary energy of the cosmos. S equals soul, or the Atma, which is hidden in all 3 bodies. So in some traditions, they talk about more than 3 bodies, but in the yogic tradition, they talk about physical, astral, and causal. So some traditions, say 7 bodies or 10 bodies. But to simplify everything, 3 bodies, according to the yogic tradition, tantric tradition. Soul or Atma, hidden in all 3 bodies, is S, is known and experienced by the eventual separation of the 3 bodies. So I spoke about the separation of the 3 bodies, how to do that, in the video that I uploaded last year when I first came back onto YouTube on Guru Purnima 2023, 3rd of July. Separation of the 3 bodies via the ascent of Kundalini through Sushumna. And I'll get into that later, but you can also go to back to that video and have a listen to that and check that out. Experienced by the eventual separation of the 3 bodies, and is the divine, immortal, eternal light which is in everyone. So the soul, the jiva, the atma, is divine as a brilliant light, eternal light, which is in everyone, regardless of the differences that we might find with each other. We're essentially the same. So M equals moksha, or the final liberation from the continual cycle of rebirth. So people want to read into reincarnation. So reincarnation ceases when Moksha is attained, or the final liberation from the wheel of samsara, or the continual cycle of rebirth, where one is born back in a body, physical body, and also in the astral and causal. So there's evolution up there as well. So moksha equals M equals moksha, or final liberation from the continual cycle of rebirth, one with the Supreme Soul. Now, I talked about this last year on that 3rd of July video, separation of the three bodies. How to separate the three bodies via the Tantric Kriya Yoga, or I've abbreviated there as TKY, system. So that's the system as taught by BR School of Yoga since Swami Satyananda started teaching there in 1963. And I'll put in here as taught by Swami Satyananda astrally to Swami Manamurti. So Swamiji's my guru, and he's also transmitted to me the essence of Kriya Yoga in a total experience, which I really haven't talked about a couple of times, but this can all be transmitted. These sadhanas can be transmitted. The essences of sadhanas can be transmitted, plus the techniques of sadhana can be transmitted telepathically, especially between guru and disciple. And I've written here how to separate the three bodies via the Tantric Kriya Yoga system as taught by Swami Satyananda to Swami Manamurti, and via Babaji's Kriya of the letters, which was taught astrally to Swami Manamurti, myself back in 2018. And I mentioned that in that first video too last year when I came back on YouTube, and announced on 3rd of July in a live stream recorded message on Facebook and YouTube. Anyone may watch and listen to my recordings. So I've made a number of recordings since then. Not sure how many, 18, I think, 19. This will be number 19, I think, or 20. Anyone may watch and listen to my recordings for further clarification of the following revelations of what occurs. TKY equals the Tantric Kriya Yoga system, Kriya 1 to Kriya 20, so there's 20 Kriyas in that system, consists of Kriya Yoga techniques numbering 1 to 20. Now, I mentioned in that video, Kriya 1 to Kriya 5, this is a revelation from my guru to me. It activates the ion drive propulsion. Obviously, it's a propulsion system for the Kriya Yogi to separate physical from the astral and causal, so separate. So as you go on and continue with the Kriyas, these ion drives and plasma drives, or propulsion systems to your inner space, is activated. We're not going in outer space, we're going in the inner space, right? And Kriya 1 to Kriya 5, ion drive, Kriya 6 to 20 activates the plasma drive. So you'll be astral by then. So as I mentioned, the physical body wouldn't be handling a plasma. So you can look up what a plasma is. So then I've got here abbreviated BKOTL, Babaji's Kriya of the letters. So that's the technique that Babaji initiated me into in 2018. This advanced Kriya Yoga technique activates both an ion and plasma drive in the Kriya Yogi via Kundalini, plus a stargate or a personal portal to higher dimensions, or lokas. Lokas is the Sanskrit name for dimensions, via the Sahasrara, or the crown, or seventh chakra when perfected. Now I've got down on the next page, page 5, ascent of spiritual consciousness. Soul minus CBA, so it's minus causal, astral, and the physical equals M moksha, or final liberation, occurs in samadhi, the highest union with the Supreme Soul. And in the perfected yogi's final exit from the physical body at death, this is known as Mahasamadhi. That's the ascent. The descent of spiritual consciousness, soul plus CBA. Causal, astral, physical equals spirit rebirth. The spirit's rebirth or reincarnating in a physical body, a reincarnation in this physical dimension. Okay, the next one, descent of spiritual consciousness into higher bodies and dimensions. Right. Spirit plus CB equals spirit incarnation into a higher astral body or causal body. Evolved souls may choose to incarnate into higher dimensions, B or C, astral or causal, between rebirths in a physical body. So between rebirths into a physical body, they may incarnate in a higher astral or causal body to learn spiritual lessons. So you might have read the resurrection of Sri Yukteswar in Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi. So Sri Yukteswar is telling Paramahansa Yogananda what he was doing after he left his body. So he materialized in Paramahansa Yogananda's room and told him about what he's doing in the higher astral. He was teaching people how to evolve further. So this is what I'm talking about here. This depends on their remaining karma and their spiritual missions, which are charted in higher dimensions. So now I've got Barbara White's, who I explained in that video, and also in the very first video that I did on YouTube, 2017, which was before I came back onto 6 years later. I came back on 2023, last year, on Guru Purnima. So I did a fair bit of explanation about this, how it came to me from Barbara White, and I've spoken about it numerous times in the last year. So anyone can check my old videos, right? But I'm going to go into this a bit deeper into when I go into sneak peek into my manuscript or book. And then how to test the hypothesis. That's largely the same as last time in the first paper. Do the Kundalini Research Project, or Babaji's Kundalini Research Project. And then I've got the date down there where I published it, 20th of September 2024. So I've got a fair bit to go through. That's why I didn't add too much of an explanation in there. I want people to just start doing their own research, search a bit deeper. So I'll take that off share now. Okay, so I'll remove that. So that was that was the document that I went through the formulas, that new formula from last week. So that came through my higher mind. I'm not sure where it came from, if anyone was influencing me or sending me something, a download, but it's, my higher mind seems to be connected these days. So I'm just going to before I get going onto this diagram and explaining that, I want to also, while you're looking at that diagram down the bottom here, see, you see down the bottom there, Muladhara chakra is at the bottom. So, and I've got here event horizon. So that's where you see this written in physics, event horizon to a black hole, right? So before I did this diagram, this is back in the year 2000, I put this together. So before I read Stephen Hawking's book on the brief history of time. So, and I put this together. So you see the event horizon. So for the yogi, once their awareness is, once the Shumna is awakened through pranayama or kriya yoga, their awareness slips inside Sushumna and rises up through the Brahmanadi, right? And when that happens, uh, that's perfect pratyahara. Like pratyahara is a sensory withdrawal. So that's but the fifth stage of Raja Yoga, right, pratyahara, before dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay, so perfect pratyahara is when Sushumna opens in Kundalini Yoga, or Kriya Yoga, Laya Yoga, right? And the Kundalini and your awareness rises up through this Brahmanadi, right? So I've got over here, beyond time and space, the arrow of time, beyond time and space. Once it moves, your awareness moves with the Kundalini up Sushumna. Time and space, the arrow down, back down, right? So when the yogi enters, I remember reading this from Swami Niranjan, might have wrote this or spoken about this, saying years ago, a long time ago, 20 years ago or more. The black hole. So in physics, we talk about black holes swallowing all the stars, end up going into black holes, right? And where they go, no one knows, or it's dissolved in there. Matter disappears, right? So the stars are matter, so it disappears in there. So for a yogi, the black hole is Muladhara chakra, and the white hole is Vishuddhi, where it exits Vishuddhi, right? So that's Vishuddhi is the fifth chakra. So, and then it goes higher, right? Agnya and then Sahasrara. So I'll speak a bit more about that later on. So we're talking about also the Panchakoshas and the Mahabhuts, or the tattvas, or the elements. So tattvas and the elements. So I spoke before about the soul descending, right, down. So in the evolution of the soul descending and incarnating, or the jiva incarnating into a body, first the elements of creation descend, and that's akasha, right? Akasha is the element for Vishuddhi, or the space element, akasha. Then Vayu, which is in the heart chakra, and or air in the heart, right? And you might say ether for Vishuddhi, right? But it's space, akasha. And it's interesting how they talk about these days the Akashic records, right? Akasha. So this is thousands of years ago, talked about in the Upanishads, and Akasha, right? So maybe that's where they got the name for the Akashic records. So once you're up there, you're connected, right? Past Vishuddhi. So as the tattvas descend down to make a body, it's Akasha, Vishuddhi, air or Vayu in Anahat, the heart, Agni, fire in the Manipura chakra, fire element. So we're talking about the elements, right? Yeah, the 5 elements or tattvas, right? So then lower on down to Swadhisthana, we've got Apaz or the water element in Swadhisthana chakra, and then further down Muladhara, the earth element, Prithvi. Prithvi is the name or Sanskrit name, the earth element. So the five elements descend, the 5 tattvas descend down to make creation. That's the 5 elements of creation. But very interesting, I was thinking about this talk last night, and who phones up? One of my dear Kundalini Research Project friends and colleagues from India, and he's also one of my gurus, phones up and wanted to talk to me, and I had to go through a translator. Right, so he didn't know I was going to talk about the Mahabhuts or the Tattvas. So he's also saying, he was talking, so the message was being relayed to me about the 5 Tattvas. So Brahma, the creator, also grants to the yogi or yogini that's taken their Kundalini to Sahasrara a further 10 tattvas, making a total of 15 tattvas. So that's in the Brahma or Satyaloka, the Sahasrara, once the Kundalini is up there. And you're in a white light body when that occurs. So I just wanted to mention that about the Mahabhuts and the Panchakoshas. And I mentioned that. So I've just put the 2 brackets, right? So I put all those 3 bodies in that formula, physical, astral, causal, in those 2 brackets, meaning the koshas. So there's 5 koshas, but to simplify everything, we've reduced it down to that, and I've put the closed brackets around it. So back to this diagram here, I wanted to emphasize the Brahmanadi, right, inside the Sushumna, which the physical correlate in the human body is the canal centralis of the spinal cord. So up here, we've got dhyana, meditation occurs. When we go beyond time and space, laya. So I spoke a fair bit about laya in the last paper on advanced astrophysics, laya. So I introduced that. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and Sahasrara. So this is what the yogi's into, or the yogini, when they're right into the Kundalini. So I've finished that little bit of information. So I'm just going to take that off share. Close that down. I'll just briefly put this up. This is a drawing I did 10 years ago. After a vision, I had a vision, and I put this on a document a while back. This is a vision that I saw in a dream. 2 nostrils. This is all I saw, the nose and the 2 eyes and the diagonal lines from each nostril crisscrossing and going to 3 higher bodies. All right, so I spoke about this in previous videos. I won't go into it too much, but the right nostril, prana shakti. So we're talking about this. This is a physical body. So I drew this after the dream. This is years ago, long time ago, 10 years ago. Before I did a talk, I did my first webinar in October 2014. So I spoke about this. Physical body, Annamaya Kosha. I saw that above above, right? So from the nostrils that crisscrossed up, I saw a body above, and that was the physical body, Annamaya Kosha, and the Pranamaya Kosha are connected to the physical body. And the opposite nostril, the left nostril, is connected to the Manomaya Kosha and the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And there's subtle bodies, right? Astral body. And if they're perfectly balanced, you see at the nostrils, that line going across there, the horizontal line, if they're perfectly balanced, Kundalini can ascend vertically, straight up, and pierces the Anandamaya Kosha into the causal body, the Karana Sharira. So I don't want to speak too much about that. Take it off. So I've talked about this one before. Just excuse me, I'll just close the door for a sec. Whoa. Excuse me, I just had to quieten the dog down, barking at someone. All right. 1 second. So what I wanted to do here is just so I wanted to just bring up, this is my first book, Truth is Within Kundalini, manuscript, right? So it's not published yet. Truth, but it's very important book, very important book, and you'll see soon why. And Truth is Within Kundalini, Kriya Yoga, and the Kundalini Research Project. So I just learned yesterday that Mr. Gene Kiefer, who was a friend of Gopi Krishna, that they were the early pioneers of this Kundalini Research Project, going from the 50s. He just passed away. Gene just passed away. So I just thought I'd mention that. I only found out yesterday. He was a very close friend of Gopi Krishna. Truth is Within Kundalini, Kriya Yoga and the Kundalini Research Project, with scientific and philosophical forward introduction to the Kundalini Research Project by Dr. Subrata Kabiraj, PhD Physics. So that's relevant because we're talking about advanced astral physics. Associate Professor and commendation by Yoga Master Dr. John Mumford, Swaminanda Kapila Saraswati, my guru. So Swamiji wrote a beautiful commendation before he, in March 2020, before he had his stroke, and obviously he's passed away now. But I'm sure he'd love to see these books published, and so would I. So, and I'll read that commendation at the end. It's on the back cover. Swamiji wanted it on the back cover because he wanted Subrata's introduction, and he wanted Subrata, who's a physicist. He wrote a beautiful. Swamiji read the introduction by Subrata, and he wanted Subrata's introduction to stay at the front of the book, and so Swamiji will get on the back cover. So Swamiji wanted the back cover. This is my dedication page to Mukata. Acknowledgement. Subrata, John Mumford, Octavian, Salvatore, great friend of mine, Dr. Bina Sharma, great friend of mine. So here we are here, this is in the subjects. This is a big book, so I'll take a little while. I'm going to skip through a few things, but I want to just give you a little look at Subrata's forward. And what's very important is the an analysis that Subrata did on the Barbara White Kundalini Mandala. So that's totally relevant to physics. So I hope some more physicists will have a look at this, scientists, and you just see how important this book is. Right, so this is a logical sequence of the sections of the book: Kundalini and Spiritual Awareness, Kriya Yoga, the middle section of the book, and the KRP mission, Kundalini Research Project, mission at the back section of the book, appendixes. Right, I'm going to go through that. This is just some of my bio stuff here. Okay, so this is the intro by Subrata, introduction, and this is a beautiful overview, scientific overview of the Kundalini Research Project, written by Subrata, and that's a photo of Subrata giving a speech at the official launch of the Kundalini Research Project, which I attended in June 2012. And this is what he wrote for me for this book. Introduction, beginning of the beginning, science and spirituality, a new era, the necessity of research on Kundalini, an integrated approach, Kundalini Research Project, and his conclusion. I'm not going to read through all this. More important is the physics at the end of it, at the end, but this is beautiful and really is important. But here's a quote from Albert Einstein. That's relevant. The further the spiritual evolution of mankind advances, the more certain it seems to me that the path to genuine religiosity does not lie through the fear of life and the fear of death and blind faith, but through striving after rational knowledge. Right? Albert Einstein. Okay, so there's a nice quote by Stanley Eddington, great scientist. All right, so keep going. Necessity of research on Kundalini. So this is really beautiful. If Subrata is watching, this is brilliant, Subrata, and I really, really need a publisher to publish this. William Blake, some beautiful quotes. And this is the protocol, KRP protocol, the 5 main sections: physiological sensation and changes during Kundalini awakening, detection and analysis of bioelectromagnetic field generated from the heart, neural and tissue cells, biochemical, biomolecular study of blood, hormones, receptors, and especially nucleic acids, genetic study in the body during Kundalini yoga, quantum mechanical, so that's physics, quantum mechanical, neuroscientific, and parapsychological study of consciousness, the study of PSI energy, life field, bioplasmic body, the secret of prana, and the conclusion. Section 1. So I'm going to skip right through this. It's a big book. It's 330 pages. So we'll get right to what I wanted to show you. And I went through, in that last talk, I went through the, here we go, yeah, the Big Bang. So that's another diagram I put together. The big crunch of the universe layer, Mula Prakriti. So, all right, so last month, I gave a sneak peek of my Kriya Yoga book, which is book 2, um, on the advanced astral physics, because we talked a lot about Kriya Yoga and Laya Yoga, so that's covered um, in that book in great detail. So I'll get moving here. I didn't want to take too long, but I want to show. Here we are, somewhere up here. Okay, right. So we talked about the mandala, which is in that report. This is the report that Subrata did for me. Obviously, it's copyright to Subrata and myself. This book's copyright to myself and Satyam Yoga Center, and this is the work that Subrata did for me to write this up. The report for this book, which was the first book for the Kundalini Research Project. Okay, the Kundalini Mandala and its scientific evaluation. In the mandala, the frequencies of this is written by Subrata, a physicist, right, and a brilliant physicist, I might say. Brilliant, because he's the only one that I really have met that really understands Kundalini, right? So, yeah, people really need to get their head around this. In the mandala, the frequencies of the vibrations are given not only for each of the chakras, characteristic frequency of that chakra, but also for the transient transition phase from one chakra to the next. The whole process is quite similar, like tuning an FM radio manually by either moving the knob, analog radio set, or scanning channels by changing the frequency slowly, digital radio set. We change the frequency of our receiver set to match the frequencies broadcasted. Once matched perfectly, we get a crystal clear sound. Through sadhana, we continually try to increase the frequency energy of Kundalini vibration. After the Kundalini awakening from Muladhara, the energy starts increasing very rapidly in a chain reaction. Each time the data of our last progress is always saved, just like a computer game, obviously on the hard drive. In the ancient spiritual book Tantra, the Tantras, each chakra is geometrically represented as a lotus, and the number of petals, this is very important, the number of petals of the lotus increases in the upward journey to the Vishuddha or Vishuddhi chakra. A letter is written on each petal, which corresponds to a particular color, frequency, energy. Although there might be a number of colors in a chakra, but all the waves are superimposed, making a single gross characteristics color of the chakra. During awakening of Kundalini, bioplasma of the human body with tremendous energy activates some parts of our brain with the help of a typical endocrine gland, the pineal gland. This activation enables grey matter, so we've got grey matter in the brain, to act as direct receptors of the Kundalini energy. Result, we feel like watching colours, energies of our own Kundalini from inside without using our physical eyes. After some progress in Kundalini sadhana, our system trains the brain to match the cosmic frequencies with our own Kundalini frequency. Quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics, like I said in that first video last week, I'm no scientist, but I'm just on a learning curve, learning from all these brilliant people that I've met over the years. Quantum mechanics accepts that all particles must have their wave existences. If we could read the wave existence, we get all the data about the particle. The complex the particle, the more complex its wave function. Quantum concept says that the existence of any particle, a wave function, is infinitely spread all over the universe. But if one calculates the probability of existence of the particle at the place where the particle is supposed to stay, he or she will get the maximum. For example, if the probability density of existence of any person at home is maximum, still if someone calculates his or her existence on the moon or Mars, then he will get a very small value over there. Wave nature for any particle is very localized in nature. So this would be interesting for Dr. Richard Arnold Miller to read this bit here. This is interesting to understand that when the matching of cosmic frequency occurs with our own Kundalini frequency, we experience our existence in other planets, astral travel. So I've spoke a lot about that over the last year. This is more interesting to understand how our probability of existence here in deep silence and meditation is minimized, and our probability of existence, mainly the causal body, on another planet or a place is increased. This is pure quantum concept. Quantum concept. Now we'll take a close look at the frequencies as described by the script and corresponding energies in the various chakras. So these frequencies and energies are written in Barbara White's mandala on that diagram. So I'll just get it. So here it is, right? I've had it for 31 years, right? So Sabrata, this is part of Sabrata's scientific report. So you got the chakra, all the 10 to the power of 2, and the exit. So see how the energies exit the chakra, 10 to the power of 4. So you'll note how many petals there are on the classical yogic tantric diagrams of the chakras, 4 petals. So we've got here 4, right? Swadhisthana. So we exit 6 petals. Manipur, exit, this is the frequencies, 10 to the power of 10, 10 petals, Manipur. Exit Anahat, 10 to the power of 12. Exit Vishuddhi, 10 to the power of 16, 16 petals. So you can see how yoga is very scientific, right? You don't get, this is just amazing, you know, these revelations. So, and then you got Agnya, 10 to the power of 96. This is all in the diagram, right? Sahasrara, crown chakra, entry at 10 to the power of 108, 108. Very amazing number, isn't it? Auspicious number, 108. And the exit, 10 to the power of 972. Then beyond the infinite supermind, 10 to the power of 1080, 1080. And now we've got energy. So there's the frequencies across the top. And down the bottom, I've got the energy. So I won't bother going through all that, but I wanted to show you the correlation here with the chakra petals up there, right? 2, 6, 10, 12, 16 in those first 5 lower chakras, right? And those elements, the tattvas, mahabhuts, right? So it's table 1. From the table, this is what Sabrata wrote, right? So you might be amazed by this. From the table, this is evident that the energies of the first 5 chakras are very low, between 0 and 1 EV. I don't even know what that is, so it just goes to prove I'm no scientist, right? Is it volt? EV? I'm not sure. For example, 10 to the power of 2 EV equals 0.01 EV, and 10 to the minus 4 EV equals 0.0001 EV, and increases in the rate of a few hundred or 1,000 times of the previous. In the entry point of Vishuddhi chakra, the energy required is above 1 EV. Next, to reach the entry point of Agnya, it requires 1 million trillion times of the energy of the previous. Isn't it huge? But this is nothing in comparison with the next chakras. Entry points from the Agnya chakra to Sahasrara, the outburst of energy should be 100 of trillion times. The ratio of the previous to the next chakra can be defined as chakra transition energy ratio. So that's a new term. Subrata's got that term there. Now, finally, in the last step, the rupture of Sahasrara, the rupture of the Sahasrara to the supermind. The jump of energy is more than 81 zeros after 1 trillion of the energy of Sahasrara entry point. From the above discussion, it is clear that why the last 3 chakra journeys are often described as the toughest in the spiritual books. So you might read about the journey of some yogis, Kundalini yogis. The hardest part is the last few chakras. But with this data, a graph is plotted to understand the energy exploration. This is a special graph where energies at various chakras are plotted in a log scale. The log scales are necessary to concisely describe the situation when a parameter changes abruptly, similar to the degree of an earthquake plotted on a Richter scale. Energy at the various chakras. So you've got the chakras down here. Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipur, very small down here, right? Anahat, Vishuddhi, Agnya. Then we get to Agnya. Boom, boom, and then massive. Up here, Sahasrara, and then the absolute. Okay, so these are the colors as shown in the mandala. So you can see how massive the jump is from Agnya Sahasrara to the absolute. These are the rules to reading the log scale. One scale of increase is equal to 10 times, i.e. 0 means 1, 1 means 10 times an EV, 2 means 100 times an EV, 3 means 1,000 times an EV, and likewise. All the negative values of energy, the first 4 chakras, mean a value between 0 and 1 EV. The individual vibrational frequency range as given here is from 10 to the power of 4 hertz, characteristic frequency of Muladhara, to 10 to the power of 972 hertz, characteristic frequency of Sahasrara, whereas the terrestrial vibrational frequency range, so Barbara's written that in that mandala. You got to remember this mandala was transmitted into her third eye. She saw it and drew it and sent it to me. So this is just mind-blowing. Right, so whereas the terrestrial vibrational frequency range is given from 8 hertz to 10 to the power of 1080 hertz. This means the journey from the Sahasrara onwards is mostly ruled by the divine power as the individual existence merges with the supermind of immanent spirit itself. Scientific inquisitive thought. So this is for all the scientists to study. 1. A good exponential growth fit is expected to describe to describe infinity with the exponent 2. Till date, the maximum energy attained at the Large Hadron Collider, CERN, is more than 7 TeV, 7 trillion EV, which is less than even the threshold energy needed to move into Agnya Chakra. Planck's scale is the limit of quantum field theory. Beyond this limit, quantum mechanics breaks down. Planck's scale breaks down in the energy range of Agnya Chakra, as per the script. Physicists are expecting a new mechanics very soon that can explain even finer levels of manipulation beyond quantum limit. We may hope that the new mechanics, which is yet to be evolved, might successfully explain Kundalini energy outburst. So this is really something. Scientists need to really get their head around this. The future's right here. Number 4, bypassing our eyes and sensing the color means sensory organs are not the must to get sensations. This might be the point of great interest for the biophysicists. So biophysicists, Dr. Richard Alan Miller, he's a biophysicist as well as a physicist. This might be the point of great interest for the biophysicists to extrapolate the system to sense through brain only without using corresponding organs. So that's totally brilliant, Subrata. And this is documented and in my book, which really needs to be published. And if there's any good publishers out there, please get in contact. This needs to be out there. And obviously this is a really important KOP mission. So I've spoken before how this mandala was transmitted to Barbara in 1993 by Babaji, right? And Mahavatar Babaji. So this is my book. So here we go. Further. Get down a bit further. I just wanted to read that bit on Subratas. Hang on. Whoa. Hang on. I've got some info here. Okay, this is just a report of a pilot study that we did back in 2015. Results. Just skipping through this bit. So there's Ajay here, who phoned up last night. Been my friend there. So this is at the Kumbh, so it's coming up to that was 2013, 12 years next year, 12 years ago. And this is some of the research, Kundalini activated. Ajay all wired up with this technology. So RJ is a real yogi from Madhya Pradesh. Well, that's myself and Aaron and Bina and Dr. Tripathi. So I've written in here, chakra pedals relationship to frequency. So I've written a bit more info here about what's the Brata mentioned. So I wanted to just really let you know there the correlation with the Barbara's picture that was transmitted from Babaji, right? What she wrote down, and I've put it in red there, 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, the petals, right? So I've got a lot more info there that I've written there about the chakras and the frequencies and the correlations. Um, there's a lot in this book. So I'm even talking about channeling here, channeling and ascension. Max's book here, Dr. Max Rampel's book, From the Galaxy with Love, with Jim Charles. So, yeah, concluding message. Space and time is relative. Consciousness is absolute. Right. So, I mean, this is a really in-depth book. So there's my appendixes, 6 appendixes, number 6 appendixes, commendation. These are all the sadhanas of Tantric Kriya Yoga, which I spoke about at the start of this talk. Like the Kriyas 1 to 5, activating the ion drive. Anyway, and after Mahabed of Mudra, right, the plasma drive. Okay, so keep going. Advanced program, Tantric Kriya Yoga. Sadhana, method of learning that over 20 days. So this is, what's this? Barbara White's psychic and conceptual diagrams and excerpts from a personal handwritten letter to me dated 14th of September 1993. So I've got here, it explains in a mysterious way how Barbara came into my life after receiving a message and visitation, darshan, from the great Kriya Yoga master Mahayavata Babaji, who appeared to Barbara in her home in Tasmania, Hobart, 2 days before I met Barbara in Sydney. So here's the diagram again. Here's another one that Barbara sent me. So we've got the 18th of July, BW, Barbara White. So we've got here, see here, 8 to 10 to the power of 1080 cycles per second, terrestrial vibrational frequencies. Then we've got over here, cycles per second, individual vibrational frequencies, 10 to the power of 4 to 10 to the power of 972. So, well, I mean, I can't understand this. I'm no scientist, right? But I can just, Barbara sent it all to me. I met her for a reason. I met some amazing people because of that. And here we go. Here's some more. This is really amazing, right? If you really get a chance to buy this book later on after it's published, definitely have a big read. Look at this. Super mind. Up here, the super mind. Supramental, superatomic, universal, spiritual mind, superatomic, solar. We've got frequency, wavelength, physical mind, gross matter, gravitational, cellular mind, subetheric, electromagnetic, habitual mind, etheric, electromagnetic, emotional mind, super etheric, electromagnetic, pragmatic mind, 2 levels, subatomic, electromagnetic, intuitive mind, atomic, nuclear, and then superatomic, solar, spiritual mind. So that's mind-blowing. And here I put this into a little table so it'd be easier to read. spiritual mind, superatomic solar, intuitive mind, atomic nuclear, pragmatic mind, 2 levels, subatomic electromagnetic, emotional mind, supra etheric and electromagnetic, habitual mind, etheric electromagnetic, cellular mind, sub-etheric electromagnetic, physical mind, gross matter, gravitational, 7. So we've got 7 chakras, right? So I might read, I'm going to read some of these letters. There's just a couple of pages here, 2, and some excerpts. So you see, Barbara was a really brilliant woman as well. So obviously, for her to understand this, she must have been obviously probably a physicist herself, although I never got to talking to her about that. So she must have been a physicist herself, and also heavily into Sri Aurobindo, because he's the one that really talks about supermind. So I hope Dr. Karan Singh, who I think he did his PhD on Sri Aurobindo, I hope you get a chance to read this, Dr. Karan Singh. Gee. Dear David, delighted to hear. Sorry, I'll just put this on silent. One second. Oh, wow. So that was actually somebody sending me. Oh, I've got to go. Hello? I've got to go. I'm on live stream on the internet. Okay. Sorry about that. I really appreciate your patience with me. I actually got a call from somebody, and they sent me a photo of RJ. So I don't know if he's watching. So yeah. So start again. Dear David, delighted to hear from you. Your enthusiasm, the God within, Theos, Greek, Theos, the God within, joy of life and spiritual happiness is quite infectious. I'm following your movements with interest. Words no longer come easily to me for letter writing, so even if you cannot readily understand the enclosed mandala, the yantra, or whatever, I hope you can catch a glimpse at least of how after 14 years of such things manifesting, so get that, 14 years of these things manifesting, mandalas inside a third eye, 14 years of such things manifesting, hundreds of them, faith, aspiration, and surrender to the divine will have at last incredibly changed to knowledge, power, and ananda, bliss. The door to the supramental spirit is directly ahead. I'm not quite strong enough yet to lift the key up to unlock it. The book I bought, Testimony of Light by Helen Greaves, proved most enlightening. A telepathic communication to a friend after death of a woman who had been a nun for 25 years and ended up completely frustrated. She could see and express why from the spirit world. But most of all, I've been guided to read it because the knowledge and joy that she talked about in her new state is what I'm experiencing right here and now. And more, for she is still a Christian, now a real one, and talks in terms of groups and families, but can see that at the summit, the violet plane for me, there are tenets, i.e., the true individual in my terms. Everything fits and is a confirmation. I went to the other Adya bookshop in Chatswood and bought a $26 volume called Kundalini Evolution and Enlightenment, edited by John White, who has been receiving lately with a few others via my friends at Woodstock, New York, copies of such as the enclosed, meaning the mandalas, right? Here, a network indeed, and a more woeful set of articles is hard to imagine. The new science needs better than this. So this is what we're trying to bring in, the new science. Barbara was talking about it right here. The new science needs better than this. And here's a couple of excerpts. There, it's a long time since I've written so much, but we were meant to meet and surely will again in this lifetime or the next. In the eternal love of the infinite, Barbara White. P.S. I've never had anything to do with a Swami before. That was very funny, very interesting. So I said in that last video on advanced astral physics, I did a pretty good referencing in that Kriya book. So this one I had even more references because it's a bigger book, and this is my first book. So I made sure there's a lot of referencing so people can follow and do their own research. Okay, so here's chapter 1 references, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so I want to read just this first bit, what Swamiji wrote here, my guru, John Mumford, Dr. John Mumford, Swami Ananda Kapila, who passed away last Shivaratri in 2023. So this was written on 14th of March 2020. Swami Monamurti Saraswati, David G. Little, has written the first original tantric book of the 21st century. So that's a pretty big wrap. 300 pages of stunning material concerning Kundalini. So it's 330. So I've got a few more pages in here now. And that was beautiful commendation from a true tantric master and yogi. And Swamiji wanted this to occur on the back page, on the back cover. So it will be on the back page. And Subrata's introduction is at the start of the book. And here's the book. Picture of Nag Devata, right? On the cover. So I think that's all I wanted to say today. And there might be some more uploads to academia.edu. And we need a publisher. So if any of you know a good publisher who wants to make some money, these books will sell. And I definitely need a bit of money as myself. And there's some brilliant stuff in here. And I'm not saying that just because that's me. That's, people have said that it's brilliant. And like my yoga master, who doesn't really, and Swamiji, who doesn't really say that too often. And Subrata's introduction is brilliant, and Barbara's Mandala report, that really needs to be published and out there, right? So if any of you publishers want to be part of that, please contact me, monamurti@gmail.com, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so I'm going to take that off for share. So I've been talking for an hour and a quarter, so I'll just get rid of that. So I've gone through everything. advanced astrophysics, as I mentioned in that last talk, I first heard those words in a dream in Sweden in 2011 when I was on that 3-month Kriya Yoga retreat. And Babaji gave me the first part of the formula in 2020 on the way back while I was driving my car. Y equals M, T plus S. I mean, people should really think about this. This is the new definition of yoga, right? And the other formulas I gave too as well about layer, they were downloaded last month into me. And then I put a formula for what the enlightened being is, and that's what the Kundalini Research Project, or Babaji's Kundalini Research Project, is pointing to. Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Layer Yoga, and those formulas. And then I put together another formula about how the soul incarnates and ascension, ascending and descending, etc. So I hope you all enjoy that, and if there's any scientists out there who might want to enjoy that. And that's just an explanatory video to go with the paper that's already up there. And as more things come along, or if I download some more information, surely that'll happen. So it doesn't stop, once there's sort of these things just don't stop automatically. They'll be put up on academia, but this might be my last video for a while. I'm going to focus now on writing my commentary on the Katha Upanishad by New Year's Eve, and then next year is back to teaching Kriya Yoga. Okay, have a nice day. Hari Om, and this has been 1 hour and 17 minutes already, so have a nice day.